So, welcome everyone to our latest education session for Accountable. So today I've got the fantastic Jodine McIntyre with me. Everything you've ever wanted to know about social media. Bearing in mind, if you've got questions, anything like that, jump in, because this is all about everything you want to know. We can fill your head with a whole bunch of stuff that may not be relevant. So, but I'm pretty sure Jodine's not going to do that. We do have quite a few of you today, so jump in, jump out. You know, you're all really busy. Everyone will actually receive a recording of today's session, so don't think you're going to miss out on something if you do need to go. So a little bit about us. So we are Accountable. So we are accountants, bookkeepers, and financial advisors. Sorry, we are not financial advisors. We do business advisory. Bad. Flip up that one. So we do financial accounting, bookkeeping. We can help you with your business planning, strategic goals, that sort of stuff. One of our specialties is also companies in financial difficulty. So my big thing being ex-IRD and a company liquidator, that if you know of anyone that is actually struggling financially, tell them that they actually don't need to do it on their own. It is really hard to make that first phone call, but every one of our clients who's actually made that first phone call is so grateful that they've done it. So especially coming out of COVID, now is the time that people are going to need that support, and that's our specialty. So today we do have quite a few. It is up to you guys whether you want to jump in and ask a question, or we do have the chat function down here in Zoom. So if you would prefer, you can actually just put in a chat function, and I will interrupt Jodine at the appropriate time and actually cover off that question if you're more comfortable doing that. So in the meantime, I would sort of suggest that we just mute each other. Sorry, not mute each other, mute ourselves, and just to keep that noise down. But today, the rules of the game, 100% participation. If you do not ask questions and you leave the session with something and you go, oh, I wish I knew that, you haven't 100% participated. So we really need you to actually get everything you want out of these sessions. Today is interactive, hence why 100% participation. There are no dumb questions, and I can guarantee you if you're thinking it, others are thinking it too. And there are a lot of people that are going to get this recording, and you'll be doing them a favour if you ask these questions, because they'll be thinking you when they watch it. Dream big. There is stuff that you're going to learn today that may actually not be relevant for you today, but in 6 months' time or 12 months' time, it actually may be. And then you're going to go, oh, that's right, Jodine said that, and then it'll bring it all back to you. And today is about having fun. So here at Accountable, we're not formal people. So we're all about actually having fun in business and actually making sure that we're enjoying everything that we're doing. So if you're bored, please tell us, and I'll get Jodine to do a little dance for you. You're okay with that, eh, Jodine?
No. No.
So I'm going to introduce Jodine, and she's someone that I've actually been bouncing around with for the last 12 months or so. She is your social media cheerleader. She is also she's also a mum with young children. So she juggles how to run a business as well as everything else. So she's actually got time management under control. She's worked with social media since 2008, and she shares my goal of empowering small business owners to do well and make them feel confident in their social media posts. And I think that's one of the real big issues. People don't use social media because they're not confident, would you say, Jodine?
100%.
Yeah. So in saying that, thank you very much for giving up your time, Jodine. I know everyone here really appreciates it. And if you want to go ahead and share your screen,
yeah,
I'm just going to jump in and annoy you every now and then. And if someone's got a question, more than happy to do that as well.
Cool. How does that look? Everyone see?
Yes. So we should now all be looking at Jodine's screen. Am I correct?
Yep. Hopefully everyone can see that. I can only see you, Hayley, so I've lost everyone else. but that's okay.
That's a sad thing.
Yeah, I'll just plow on and you can just stop me if you need to. Is that okay?
That is fine.
Oh, awesome. So when Hayley invited me to speak today, everything you ever wanted to know about social media seemed like an impossible task. So what I have done is I've chosen the 12 most frequent questions that I get asked about social media. So I've called it everything social media because I don't want to set myself up to fail. But like Hayley said, just ask any questions as we go. So I can skip this slide altogether. Hayley's done a lovely intro. But yeah, I work with business owners all around the North Island, one-on-one training, group sessions like this, and even in person. Now that we're level 1, I can't wait to get stuck into some group sessions again. Cool, so question number 1. Which social media platform should I choose? And this I get asked a lot. Business owners want to make the most of their time on social media, so they don't want to be using channels that are irrelevant for their business. So the first thing I would ask you, if we were sitting down to do a one-on-one training session or I was working with you on a strategy, is ask yourself, who am I selling to and where are they hanging out? Because effectively we want to go where the people are already hanging out. So you need to have a really good understanding on who your target audience is. And as a business owner, as a professional, this is something you should know anyway. If you haven't done any work on identifying your ideal customer or your ideal client, do that before you even think about approaching social media. Make sure you have a really clear understanding of who your customer is. And then we can start to look to some stats for each of the major platforms. So today I'll be covering Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. Those are the 3 main platforms here in New Zealand. And I think that if we have a look at the stats first and foremost, this is probably a little bit dry and boring, but these are the stats from May to 2020, so last month. Here's Facebook. So we can see that in terms of gender, it's quite a 50-50 split. And in terms of age, now this is an interesting one because I get a lot of people assuming that young people don't use Facebook, and it's just not the truth, particularly here in New Zealand. So there are still young people using the platform, but what we find is they're not quite as engaged on the platform. So while they still have a profile and they're still active in terms of logging in and consuming content, and they're not necessarily, commenting and sharing their own content as such, and not so much as other platforms. So we can see here in terms of the age group, it is, I guess it's a younger sort of demographic, but social media as a whole here in New Zealand tends to be for a younger sort of age demographic. So how can we use Facebook? Let's first of all look at the platform. So we know the age demographic. We know it's a male-female split. We know it supports a huge range of content types. And we know that we can target people based not just on their interests, but also their behaviour. So Facebook knows a heck of a lot about us and how we use the internet. So there's a little piece of code that most business owners will install on their website, and that's called the Facebook Pixel. And that's really great because it means we can retarget people. If someone visits our website, we can show them ads. But what it also does is it feeds information back to Facebook. So even if when you're on the platform, you might consume certain types of content, but maybe, so for example, you might be pregnant and you might not be ready to tell the world about your pregnancy. So you're not necessarily going to be acting on Facebook, using those sorts of words, telling people that you're pregnant. But what you could be doing off Facebook is visiting a whole lot of websites that are all around pregnancy. So now Facebook gets to know that you're pregnant based on your behaviour off the platform. So all of these things add up and create this really specific profile around you, and we can use that information. So we could then create an ad that targets pregnant women. So it's really, really incredibly powerful. Some people find it really scary that it knows so much about us, but I just see this huge opportunity for business. So for businesses, it's a great opportunity for us to show the human side of your business. You can build loyal followers, customers, and show people a little bit more about you so that they can get to know, like, and trust you. Now, if we look to Instagram, Now, you'll see, interestingly, that it's only a slightly younger demographic. So everyone talks about Instagram being for kids, but really there's not a huge difference between Instagram and Facebook. We can see there's a slightly more female skew to the, the people who are using it, but really it's not just for kids. And then when we look at in terms of how to use Instagram, so it's generally a business to consumer connection. So when we think about if we're selling products, direct to the consumer, Instagram is a really good place to do it. And we have the same targeting abilities. So Instagram is owned by Facebook. So if we want to create ads, we've got all of those targeting abilities that we have. So what's the opportunity for you in your business? So it's a highly visual platform. So it allows you to kind of connect on an emotional level. So you can create like a feeling or a vibe for your business and show that through images and video. And you can associate your brand with like a particular lifestyle or, way of living. So it's a really neat platform if you're high on that kind of vibe and that feeling around your business. And then we have LinkedIn. Now, if we skip back quickly, this is something I find really interesting. So Instagram here in New Zealand, we've got 1.8 million users. If we take a look at LinkedIn, we're up at 2.1 million. So LinkedIn has now surpassed Instagram in terms of popularity here in New Zealand. The other thing you might notice is there's no gender here. So LinkedIn has been working hard on the way it defines gender. So whereas other platforms have male or female, LinkedIn's doing a lot of work around being a bit more inclusive and recognizing that there's not just, male and female genders within our world. So you'll notice that they're not reporting on that statistic. They also don't break down the ages quite as much, but we can see between 25 and 34 is that bulk of users there. So what can you use LinkedIn for? So it's more of a business to business connection. So if you were marketing directly to businesses like I do personally, I work with business owners, LinkedIn is a really good platform for you to use. Now you can form great relationships on there and you can really position yourself as the authority in your industry. And so you can stay top of mind through the content you share, so that if someone needs your services, you're the one that they think of. And all of that is really good. Oh, yeah.
Sorry to interrupt. You said free for all, so I'm here.
Right.
The differences between B2B on LinkedIn versus Facebook. My business is all B2B.
Yes.
There seems to be an anchor dragging me across to Facebook.
Yeah.
I can't stand Facebook, and I want any excuse to get away from it.
Yeah.
Do you see business to business still being really important in Facebook, or should I be focusing more on LinkedIn?
I see it being even more important now than ever. So Facebook's made some changes recently that have really pushed us more to connect with businesses.
Okay.
More in a business to business connection. So one of the strategies I'm going to teach later on in the session would be really good for you and how to engage directly with other businesses. It seems to be, so what happened was when COVID hit, basically a whole lot of businesses pulled their advertising. So that was a huge chunk of revenue that Facebook lost in a very short period of time. And then suddenly you might have noticed that Facebook was encouraging you to like other business pages as your business. So for me, this was Facebook's response to a whole lot of businesses going, I'm out of Facebook, I'm not going to spend some money. So now it seems like Facebook is trying to reinvigorate the business community by encouraging you. And you might have noticed with your page, suddenly you're getting a whole lot of businesses that are following your page. Have you noticed that?
I've noticed a few coming through, yeah.
Yeah, so that's my thinking. This is just purely what I think is happening, is that Facebook is just trying to encourage more businesses to stay on the platform.
So yeah. I really need to.
Wait to get a little bit further down and you'll see exactly what I mean in terms of the strategy of engaging with other businesses. Cool. Okay, so this is all great. We've talked about the stats. You might be thinking, okay, I can see where my customers are. But at the end of the day, I really want to ask yourself, which platform do you enjoy most? Because the last thing you're going to do, and if you hate Facebook, trying to show up consistently on a platform you don't enjoy is not going to work for you. If you love Instagram, even if you're in a more B2B space, use the platform that you enjoy the most, because at the end of the day, I really believe that humans do business with humans. Doesn't matter if you're B2B, B2C, at the end of the day, you're still doing business with people, and people are using social media platforms. So that would be one piece of advice, is ask yourself, which platform do you enjoy most? Right. Now, the second question I get asked over and over again is, what should I post? This is a tricky one to answer in the time we've got today, but it's something I really enjoy doing with my one-on-one sessions, my one-on-one clients. But the one biggest mistake I see businesses doing or making is that they confuse their website with their social media channel. Because it's online, they assume that social media is just like a website, so we can put out all our glossy pictures of our beautiful products, and we can tell people about our specials, and we can talk about ourselves all day long. But you're totally missing the trick. Social media is like walking into a giant networking event. If you just stood in the corner of the room telling people how wonderful you were, all about your business, you're really not going to make any connections with anyone. It does work for some businesses that have huge budgets for advertising, or they might have, a really, really unique product or something that really differentiates themselves. But for us, the small business owners, if we approach social media like a networking event, connecting with people, asking questions, having conversations online, we're going to have much more success than if we're just shouting at people about our business. So this is I get on this real rant about this, but social media is not all about you, and it's certainly not your website.
And I think that's probably the most easiest way to understand social media. It's a huge networking event. You wouldn't walk into a networking event and go, tea towels 5, and if you buy 3 packs, then you've got $2 off.
Yeah.
You might get
into conversation later on. If you find someone's interested in what you've got to sell, you might say, well, actually I do have something that would be really beneficial for you, but you've kind of had that period to get chatting with them and get to know them.
Yeah, and I think Daniel's just said the best piece of social media advice I've ever picked up. So we're on to a winner, and it's only what?
You forgot the thanks at the end of that.
Oh, sorry. Thanks. And I think, to me, that's actually huge. That actually makes social media understandable.
Yeah. So the way that I like to approach content is I first like to think about, well, why do people use social media? Why was it created in the first place? And when we pick up our phone and we log into Facebook or Instagram, why are we doing that? And so if we look at some of the reasons, so obviously connecting with friends and family, connecting with other professionals or strangers over some kind of shared interest. We might be in a group because we own the same, we all own St. Bernard dogs, or we might be in a business networking group, but we're coming together over a shared interest. We want to check out what's happening. We want to see the latest Facebook Live with Jacinda and Ashley and see what's happening in the world. We want some entertainment, or we want to procrastinate. So what people aren't doing is they aren't picking up their phone, logging into Facebook to look for business promotions and see what special offers are happening. They're still using Google to find those sorts of that sort of information. But while they're in social media, they can still see advertising and promotions that are happening. But it's not the first and foremost reason that people are picking up the phone and looking at their social media. So to use this to our advantage, when we create content, we can start by either informing, educating, or entertaining before we even sell. So if we approach it in that order, so if we think about something that's going to entertain someone or teach them something, or might just have them say, oh, I didn't know that, or things like that before we sell to them, we're going to have a much better success rate. The other thing we need to focus on is creating engaging content. So what happens when Facebook, so keep using Facebook as an example, but it's the same across the platforms. But what happens is when you post a piece of content, so you have a great image and you've thought up this really great caption and you post it out there to your business page, Facebook shows it to a really small portion of your followers. So if you've got 100 followers, it might show that piece of content to say 5 people. and then it waits to see what happens. And if people start engaging with that in an active way, like commenting, liking, sharing, that tells Facebook that this content is relevant. And so Facebook shows it to some more of your followers and maybe some of those people who are connected to that person who's commented. So even though, Hayley and I might be friends on Facebook and I comment on a post, even if Hayley's never heard of that business, Facebook might deem that it's relevant to her too. And so in her newsfeed, she'll see Jodine has commented on this post, and then suddenly she's drawn through and she's looking at your business and she might engage with you. So every time we post, we want to aim for this active engagement. See the difference between the active and the passive? So if people are commenting, sharing and reacting, that's how we get that content in front of more people. And that's how you get a piece of viral content, is when you get tons of comments on and shares and reactions to a post. And that might be for negative reasons. I know that if people post about being anti-vaccine or anything that's vegan or against farming in New Zealand, that's how those posts go viral, because everyone has an opinion and they jump on and they comment, and then that gets shown to more and more people. So the easiest way to encourage that active engagement is to ask questions. That sounds so simple, but you'll notice with my posts, about probably 90% of them, I start with a question. So I want to encourage people to comment on that post. And when they do comment, I respond. And that's when you start that conversation. And sometimes they even respond with another question in the hope that they'll come back and answer it. So we want to prioritise that active engagement, ask questions, and get people commenting on your posts. And so this I find is a really good rhythm to get into that works really well with social media. So we start off with something that shows you're an authority in your industry. So you could share a tip or a fact, or there might be a legislation change within your industry, or something that shows that you know what you're doing. Ask a question and then explain, have you heard the latest change to the government's wage subsidy extension, how they went from 50% to 40%. So you could ask the question and then explain to them why it's important to them. So then we're building your authority. And then we move on to a connection piece. And so this post will be kind of like you're at the networking event again. So if we think about the concept of know, like and trust, like we all know that's, people do business with people they know, like and trust. So this is where you can get people to get to know you a little bit more. So you might want to share something that people might not know about you, or something from behind the scenes of your business, something that's going to let people connect with you. So it could be a picture of your dog and say, do you breed St. Bernards? I've bred them for 10 years now and I love this breed. Something that's going to allow people to connect with you, maybe on a different level than just your standard kind of business posts. And then the third one, the engage, the green post. This is the one I find that business owners struggle with the most, because the sole goal of this post is to get people to engage. So this is where you ask a question, you ask for their opinion. Do you like cats or dogs, the red tie or the blue tie? All we're wanting to do is feed that algorithm, feed that social media algorithm, tell the social media platform that we're relevant, and just spark some conversation to reach more people. And then once we're focused on those three, that's where we can ask for our audience to support us. So that's when we can say, did you know that we produce a weekly newsletter? Here, you can sign up here, or I've got a workshop coming up. Are you struggling with your Facebook ads? Sign up for my workshop here. But once we get into that rhythm, that way we're going to know that we're creating relevant content, that we're approaching the platform in the right way, and then that sale post, that fourth post, is going to be much more successful. Does that make sense to everyone? Hopefully. Cool. Okay.
That's really cool. I really like that. Then I think a lot of the time in Facebook posts we forget to show our personality and who we actually are as individuals. And I think that's relating to personal brand at the end of the day, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. And it's scary. I know a lot of business owners want to hide behind their business name, behind their brand. They don't even want photos of them out there on social media. But what you're doing is you're not giving people the opportunity to connect with you. If you hide away, then people are not even going to really get to know you. So how can you expect them to like you and then trust you and do business with you?
Yeah.
So social media is kind of giving us this extra opportunity to reach a bigger audience than if we were to go to every Chamber of Commerce business after 5, or if you went to every networking event in your town, you still wouldn't reach as many people as you could online. So I think it just takes a little bit of bravery to put yourself out there, but it gets easier. The more you do it, it does get easier. So I've got some examples of some engaging content that you might want to create. But what I've done is I've actually put together about 100 ideas for posts, and I'll get that sent out. Either Hayley or I will send that out to you after the session. It's just a little ebook for you, so you can work through and just get some ideas if you need some ideas for getting the creative juices flowing. And at the end of the day, I just want to finish with that. People do business with those they know, like, and trust, so you need to let them get to know you. Cool. Next question. How often should I post? And this is a tricky one to answer, and I've done my best here. First and foremost, I want you to aim for consistency. So that is the key. If you're going to post every day for the next month, and then you're going to get sick and burned out and tired, and then you're not going to post for another month, you're going to do more damage. So what I say to business owners is aim for 2 to 3 times per week. If that's achievable for you, that's all I want you to do. If you can post more frequently, give it a go, but test it and review your data. I can't say for sure. There's no magic number of how many posts is going to get you the best engagement. Every audience is different. So what you can do is maybe post daily for a couple of weeks and just record your reach and your engagement, and then try easing off a little bit and just compare. See if you have a massive drop in your reach and in your engagement at the post level, and we'll get to analytics soon. But that's the biggest advice I can give you, is just test your audience and find that sweet spot for yourself. If that sounds like way too much work, 2 to 3 posts a week and I'll be happy. So that's that one. How do I make sure I'm attracting my ideal audience? So this is something that I'm really passionate about, and I know that I don't know if there's anyone here that's been to my Facebook marketing session, but you'll know this is something I talk a lot about, and it's just about getting your page or your account name right from the start. So ask yourself, is it clear what I do? Is it clear where I'm located, if that's relevant? If people were to search for me on Facebook using particular keywords, so for me, they might search Jodine McIntyre because somebody's recommended me. They might search social media training. They might search Social Smarty. They might know the name of my business. Are they going to find me? And am I making it really easy for them? And the other thing is, have a look at any other pages or accounts with the same name as yours. It's huge on LinkedIn. You'll look at company pages and you'll search for a company and you'll find like 20 companies with all the same name, and it's impossible to find out which one is the one that you're looking for. You've got to click through and you end up giving up. I recently started working with a client whose business has an identical business or name in the States. So straight away we changed his page name and just added New Zealand into it. In the past with Facebook, you used to have to try and match your official business name up with your page name, and that's how you became verified. Facebook got rid of that in October last year, so now we have this opportunity where we can add in keywords, make it really clear what we do just by our page name. So some quick examples. So obviously this is taken from Facebook, but as I said, I've got Social Smarty, I've got social media training, and I've got my name in there. So no matter what people are searching for, they'll find me. Sophie, I don't know Sophie, but I just grabbed this as an example. If people were searching for Hawke's Bay real estate, selling homes in Hawke's Bay, anything like that, even if they just knew her, Sophie Shield, they're going to find her. This one, for example, no idea what they do. Turns out they sell children's clothing and accessories, but there's nothing about their page name that tells me what they sell, what they do, who they do it for, where they do it, do they ship overseas, are they based in New Zealand? I have no idea what this business is all about. And if you've just got a few seconds to grab someone's attention, we want to make sure we've got the most information that we can in there. Same with LinkedIn, social media marketing training. You know, I want to make it really simple so that people know exactly what it is I do, and then they can choose to follow my page to get my content updates. So that can be on your to-do list, as if your page name doesn't explain exactly what you do, go and add some more words, add your slogan. Yeah, just give it a bit of a tweak.
That's really good advice. Is there any benefit in actually joining groups with your company page?
Absolutely. Yep, for sure.
So that's worthwhile doing.
Absolutely. Now, some groups won't allow it. So it's part of the settings. When someone sets up a group, they can decide whether or not they want businesses to be able to join or whether they just want people. The other thing is that they might have some rules around self-promotion. So I wouldn't recommend jumping in and starting to promote yourself. Check the rules, maybe spend some time engaging before you even think about posting so that you can get kind of the vibe of the group. Because the last thing you want to do is either look like a dick or get kicked out of the group. So join the group, spend some time engaging, see what others are doing, and see what the rules are, and then you can definitely promote yourself if it fits within that group. There is a little bit of an issue, and I haven't got to the end of it, haven't figured out what it is, but some pages can join groups, and then I have people who come to me and say, I've tried to join a group and I can't, and I can see there's other pages in there. I suspect that it's something to do with whether or not the page is owned by a business manager account in Facebook, but I haven't got to haven't figured it out yet, so I'm still working on trying to figure that one out. But yeah, definitely short answer, yes, join groups.
Cool.
Right, another question. Should I post the same content to different social media platforms? So you've got a great image or a great video, you've written out your caption. Now what do? Do you just post it to Facebook, or can you post it to LinkedIn and Facebook? So the way I like to think of it is, if you created a beautiful TV commercial, and you spend a lot of time on it and you're really proud on it, and you played it on one channel and you played it one time and that was it, and then you said, right, we've done our TV commercial for the year. Like, that's just ludicrous, isn't it? So what I would recommend is absolutely post your content on multiple platforms. If it works for you, just do it, because at the end of the day, looking at, say, Facebook, for example, the average organic reach in New Zealand is around 5 to 7%. So that's what portion of your followers actually see your content. So that's such a small portion. So firstly, it's quite unlikely that someone is going to see it. Like, if you post it to Instagram, LinkedIn and Facebook, it's kind of unlikely that someone's going to see it on all three. But if they do, that's awesome. I've had people say to me, oh, I see you everywhere online, and that's what I want. I want those multiple touch points. I want people to see me. I want to be constantly top of mind, to the point where they feel like the universe is trying to tell them something, when you think, oh gosh, I really should book in that social media training because I see Jodine everywhere. That's kind of what you want. So I definitely recommend posting to multiple platforms. Particularly if you're a busy business owner, you don't have time to create all different posts. And what you can do is even think about repurposing your content. So for example, if you put together, like, once a month, you sit down, you spend a good couple of hours and you create a blog post. You put a lot of energy into creating that blog post. So now we can repurpose it, and you can get over 8 pieces of content out of that one blog post. So you could put it in your newsletter, you could publish it as an article, literally publish the whole blog post as an article to your LinkedIn profile. You can post it on your LinkedIn company page, you can add it to your Google My Business listing, you can put a teaser on your Facebook page and send people to your website to read the rest. So see that I haven't finished the word Instagram there, but use that content. You've put all that energy into that blog post, repurpose it and get as much out of it as you can. But I would say just tweak your caption for each platform. So Facebook, we're not going to use hashtags. I'm going to get to hashtags soon, but we would on Instagram and LinkedIn. So just delete those for Facebook. For Instagram, links don't work. So there's no point in saying, click here to read the blog post on my website. So instead, we're going to send people to the link in our bio. So just have those little tweaks for each platform so that it appears that it's, you know, you've written it specifically for that platform. Cool. Next question. Are reviews on social media important? I know that a lot of businesses spend time encouraging people to leave them Google reviews, which is really great, and I think Google reviews are great, but social media reviews are even better. And the reason is that not only do they give you social proof, so if someone is looking at your business, you know, straight away they see great reviews and they think, oh, this is a good business. But they also can help you with your reach as well. So if someone leaves you a review, particularly on Facebook, that can get pushed out to some of the connections, so the friends and family and people who are connected to the person leaving you the review. Does that make sense? So people can see that review even if they don't know your business, but because they know the person who's leaving the review. And so what I do is I literally just send them. So once I've finished my training session, or maybe they've received my product, or they've done my course, or, you know, whatever it is that you're delivering, maybe a day later or a little while later, I'll just send them that link at the bottom. So that's just my Facebook page. And then at the end, I just put /reviews. And I send them a wee email or a note saying, you know, I'd really love it if you could leave me a review. And all they have to do is click on that link. And then they're taken straight to my reviews tab on my Facebook page, and they can just leave me a review. The same with LinkedIn. So LinkedIn, they're called recommendations. And see where it says ask for a recommendation. So you can just click on that and add someone's name and just flip them a note and say, hey Janine, I really enjoyed our time together. I hope you found value in our training. I'd love it if you could leave me a recommendation. And that's going to sit right there within LinkedIn. And she can just click on the link and leave me a recommendation. So I think that those are something to put on your to-do list. Is if you don't have any, if you use LinkedIn and you don't have any recommendations, go out and request a couple. And the same with Facebook. If you don't have any reviews, think about how you can incorporate that process into your, you know, your normal kind of customer service journey. Think about, you know, maybe after you send your invoice, maybe once it's paid, you could send them a thank you saying, thank you so much for your payment. It would be great if you could leave me a review. So just think about how you can incorporate that.
And Jodine, you've got lots of reviews. Do you find people are annoyed? Like, I know a lot of small business owners probably are reluctant to actually ask for something like that.
Not at all. I've never had anyone. If someone doesn't want to leave me a review, they just don't. They just don't respond to my email. And I know personally that I've had someone ask me for a review. I didn't respond. So then she came back and asked me again. I still didn't respond. So then she wrote a review, sent it to me and said, can you just, you know, send this back to me? And by that point, I was just like, that was annoying. I would never recommend doing something like that. But, you know, LinkedIn, you can ask them once. You can't keep asking them over and over. Facebook, I would just send, you know, that one email. And if they don't want to, they don't want to. Yeah. I did notice that someone had it in their email footer. A company in Napier, I got an email from them, and at the footer it said, you know, do you like our work? Leave us a review here. And so that was going out on every email. So that could be, I mean, it's not going to be as effective, but if you're nervous about asking for reviews, maybe that could be an option.
That's a safe way of doing it.
Yeah, I did have one business ask me if they should put it in there, you know, in Xero when you have that, when you send the invoice and it's got like that message that says, hi Jodine, here's your invoice number, blah, blah, blah. They said, oh, should we put it in there? And I thought, well, asking someone for a review while you're asking them for money is probably not the best combination. So yeah, I probably wouldn't recommend that. Cool. So how can I grow my audience on social media? So there's lots of little tricks that we can use. So obviously we can invite them. So on Facebook, anytime someone engages with your content in terms of, you know, like a love, a thumbs up, you can invite them. If they're not already following your page or they haven't liked your page, you'll see this little option with the grey button there. So make sure you do that on every single post. You can see with Georgie there, I've obviously invited her to like my page. She hasn't, and Facebook's saying, no, you've got one chance, you've blown it. And it doesn't let you spam them over and over and over. So I think that's a good habit to get into. You can do it at night when you're watching telly. Just scroll through your most recent posts once a week and just invite people to like your page. And the same with your LinkedIn company page. So this is quite a new feature for company pages, but you can go into your admin tools and you can invite your connections. So anyone you're connected with personally, you can invite to like your page. And if you have a whole team of you, imagine how quickly you could grow your followers on your company page if all of your team did the same thing and invited their connections to like the page.
I attended a conference once, Jodine, and you could actually, obviously everyone in the room is like-minded type thing, and on LinkedIn you could actually send in an invite out to everyone in your local vicinity. Would you recommend that type of way to grow LinkedIn as well?
Yeah, the people, everyone has to have it switched on. So it's called, forget what it's called, nearby, something nearby.
Yep.
Everyone in the room has to have that switched on. So I often do it at the end of a LinkedIn training session where we're all in the room, I get everyone to switch it on and we all connect. I think it's a great way. I do know there's a lot of people out there that will only connect with people on LinkedIn that they actually know, that they've done work with, that they've met. I disagree with that, but that's a whole nother story. But yeah, I think that's a really great way to connect with people, definitely.
So check it out next time you're in a group of people.
Yeah, and LinkedIn moved it. So I was in a training session once and we got to the point where I said, everyone get out your phone and click here, and they were like, yeah, there's nothing here. And it's a little bit harder now to find in the LinkedIn app, but it's still there. Cool, so this was the strategy I was talking earlier on about connecting on a B2B level on Facebook. So we're all used to these business pages and we all click like, but what I encourage you to do is think about who you'd like to do business with if you're in the B2B space, and go and target their business pages. So instead of just clicking the like, you want to click on those little 3 dots under their cover image and you want to like it as your page. So sometimes I give my clients homework and I say, before our next training session, I want you to have liked 50 business pages that fall within your target audience. And so they go away and they like all of those business pages. And then the next step in this process is, see how I've got my Facebook page URL, and at the end of it, and I've just typed in the top in the browser, and I've just put /pages_feed. And what this does is it brings up this great news feed that looks very similar to my personal news feed, but it's all of those businesses that I'm following as my business. So then what I can do is spend 10 minutes a week scrolling through those businesses and commenting on their content as my page. So the admins are getting a notification. So first of all, they'll get a notification to say Jodine McIntyre, Social Smarty, has liked this page. So they might go and check me out. But all of a sudden I'm on their radar. And if I'm constantly commenting on their content, you know, telling them how great it is or what a great job they're doing, or, you know, anything positive like that, I'm just going to stay on their radar. So eventually when they do need my services, I'm going to be the first one that they think of. Again, it's like kind of, you know, when you just see someone everywhere and you're like, oh, the universe is trying to tell me something. So this is just staying top of mind and really cherry picking those businesses that you want to work with. So that's a really good strategy to use. And the other thing you can do over on Instagram is see how every post has that little paper plane icon. So what I recommend you do is, again, think about some businesses, but think about businesses that you have a similar audience to. So not your competitors, but think about businesses who work with similar people that you do. And what you want to do is hit that little paper plane and share their post. So go through their posts, find a post that you think is quite good, and then you want to share it to your stories. So straight away that business is going to get a notification to say Jodine has shared this post to her stories. And what it looks like something like this. And see how there's that link at the top that says add this to your story. So it's really easy for them to just click that link, and suddenly they have posted your story to their stories. So you're effectively getting your story, your name, your Instagram account in front of all of their followers. So it sounds a little bit sneaky, but it's really simple to do. And if you keep it positive and obviously do it in a genuine kind of way, share content that you think is really good, it can be a really simple way to grow your audience over on Instagram. And then the last thing I would say about building your audience is it's all about engagement. So instead of, like, a lot of businesses think, oh, we'll just post great content and people will come to us, you've got to go fishing. You've got to go and find the people. So like, comment, share on other people's posts, collaborate with other businesses that have similar audiences to you. Join groups, like Hayley was saying before. Just get busy, get out there, get people to see you actively on social media. It doesn't matter what platform you choose, but the more you engage with other people, the more you're going to bring people back to you. It's like fishing. You've got to go out to the people and bring them back to you. Don't just wait for the fish to come to you.
And I think too, if we go back to your whole, you're at a large networking event, you just don't go and stand in the middle of the room looking like a prize twit. So you've actually got to go out and talk to people.
Absolutely. Cool. Next question. What are hashtags and when should I use them? So hashtags are really simple. I know that some people struggle to get their head around them, but they are really just adding a label to your content. So they're just a simple way to say this piece of content is about Hawke's Bay, it's about New Zealand, it's about fishing, it's about rivers, it's about nature, it's about, it's just adding a whole lot of labels that you can think of that could be relevant to that piece of content. And it's a really good way for other people to find your content. So they might not know you exist, they've never seen you before, but they're interested in that topic that you're talking about. So it's a really good way to increase your reach and reach new audiences by adding those tags to your content. Now, the beauty with Instagram is LinkedIn is that people can follow hashtags. So even if they don't know you exist, they might be following that hashtag. And as soon as you post a piece of content with that tag, because they're following the tag, they see you in their newsfeed. So it's a really effective way to get more people to see your content. So if we look at Instagram, first and foremost, these will absolutely 100% increase your reach. You can use up to 30 hashtags on a post, and I recommend you use them all. That's 30 extra chances you've got for people to see your content, so why wouldn't you take every opportunity you can?
Jodine, sorry. So how do you follow a hashtag? Is that, and many people do that?
Oh, absolutely. So I follow a lot about local. So I follow, Hastings Proud, Hawke's Bay NZ, like any of the local ones, because that's who my target audience is, and I want to see what's happening, what content is relevant. So you literally, for Instagram, just type the hashtag in at the top there. I'm just going to make sure that I know what I'm talking about. So if I was to type in hashtag Napier and then click search, and then I click on the hashtag and you'll see, I don't know, can you see that? See how there's a big blue follow button?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So you just click that. And it's the same way that your news feed is full of people you follow. Suddenly you'll start to see posts that even though you don't follow that person, it's because you're following that hashtag. And so when you scroll through, you'll see, like here, I don't know if you can see that. So I can see that I've never heard of that person and I don't follow them, but can you see the hashtag Hawke's Bay New Zealand at the top?
Yeah, above the picture, yeah.
Yeah, so that's saying to me, here's a piece of content tagged with this hashtag you follow. And so to me, that's a lovely, beautiful picture of the mission, and it's quite nice and I might like it. And then suddenly that person will go, oh, Jodine's from Social Smarty is like that picture. I wonder who they are. So then they come and visit my profile and then they say, oh, free webinar. Let's check out those. So now they're on my website booking a webinar, even though they'd never heard of me 2 minutes ago.
Cool, awesome. Thank you.
World, it doesn't always work like that. Cool. So you can follow, you can use up to 30 on posts. You can use 10 in your stories. A lot of people don't bother to put hashtags in their stories, but they still work the same way. People can see your content even if they're not following you. When you do type in the hashtag, you'll see that it pops up and it tells you how many posts have already been tagged with that hashtag. Now the problem is that if you use a hashtag that's only had 3 posts, that tells me it's not very common. There's not likely to be people following that, and there's no point in me using it. But on the other side, if I use a hashtag and it's telling me there's already 30 million posts tagged with that, I'm just going to get lost in amongst all that noise. So what I suggest is you aim for hashtags that have about 100,000, up to maybe 1 million max. And then that way you know that it's kind of that sweet spot between too niche and too popular. And make sure you follow hashtags and engage with the content. Hashtags on LinkedIn are a little bit different. They do work in the same way, so people can follow hashtags on LinkedIn, so they can still see your content even if they don't follow you. I have tested and I've found 5 seems to work. I find that if I put too many, it's a bit different to Instagram where you want to use every opportunity. LinkedIn seems to kind of filter your posts and it realizes that you're just using the hashtags to try and get more views, and it seems to penalize you. So I recommend only using 5 hashtags over on LinkedIn, and I think regional hashtags are really good. So things like NZ Business or New Zealand or NZ Rural or anything that's a little bit more regional seems to be a little bit get you a little bit better results. So with your personal profile, you can still follow hashtags. So again, I follow like Hawke's Bay, anything that I find relevant, social media, business training, anything like that. I want to see that content even if I'm not connected with the person who's posted it. But the other thing that is interesting is you can pick 3 hashtags for your company page. And these are really powerful because what that does is it gives you the ability to comment on any content that's used those tags as your business page. So normally when you comment, you're commenting as you, as a person, and it's not the same as Facebook. You can't really switch between, posting as you or as your company page. But with these 3 hashtags, that seems to unlock this ability to comment as your page. It might be a bit hard to get your head around, but step 1, go to your company page, edit it, and pick 3 hashtags. Just pop them in there, and then LinkedIn will one day, it'll prompt you. It'll say, there's a popular post about social media training. Do you want to comment as your company page? And you can jump into the conversation, and it's another way just to increase your reach on the platform.
Jodine, I've seen on some LinkedIn profiles where they've actually got like a header, award-winning in 2020 for frying eggs or whatever. How easy is that to do? Because that would be quite a good way of doing it, wouldn't it?
Changing your headline?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I always teach people to do that. So what it defaults to is your current position. So mine would default to social media trainer, social smarty, and that's not very powerful because people don't really care about that. So I've changed mine. Mine reads, do you need help with your social media marketing? I've just made it a little bit more interesting. What I find funny is when people try and cram everything in and they're like business strategist, coach, author, presenter, rah, 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 and they try and like put these slashes in between and put as much information in there. And as a user, as someone who's maybe looking for their services, I kind of get confused about what it is they actually do. I think it's lovely that you're an author, but maybe put that later down in your skills. Once I actually know what you do, I will start to have a read through your information. So try and keep it really clear. If someone was to find you and they needed your services, is it clear from your headline what it is you do and who you help? Yeah.
Oh.
Hashtags on Facebook, one of my pet peeves. Please don't use them. They don't do anything. You can click on them, but when's the last time you clicked on a hashtag on Facebook? They just look spammy. They don't increase your reach. The only time I would say to use one is if you want to show your support for a cause. You might tag, you know, Black Lives Matter or something that's, you know, a cause, so that people can instantly identify your message with that cause. Or if you've got a bit of a joke and you know, hashtag blessed, you know, as you've got a photo of you covered in Milo because your kid just threw up all over you or something, you know, and it's a bit of a joke. That's fine, but I wouldn't use them in any other way. Like, they're not going to increase your reach, and they just look out of place. Yeah, right. I know we're running out of time, so I'll try and just cruise through these last ones. So, should I spend money on boosting posts? Now, my point with boosting posts is, number one, it gets used the wrong way. So people post content and then it fizzles out, and so they think, oh, I'll put some money behind it and I'll reach more people. But all you're doing is flogging a dead horse. If your content is not hitting home on its own, you know, if you're not reaching people and people are not engaging, spending money on it is just a waste, because you're just going to amplify what's already happening. The other thing, most people boost posts on mobile. And so you get two options. You can either get more engagement, which is lovely. It's cool to get comments, but it's not really achieving any business goals, or maybe get people to message you. So you're so limited in terms of your objectives. If I was trying to sell products, book out a webinar, or, you know, do anything meaningful, I would create an ad. If I wanted to get people to comment on my post, sure, boost the post. But that's not going to achieve my business goals. And when I spend money, I need a return on that. I don't just want people to just comment on my posts. So as I said, you've got limited objectives. Your targeting could be limited. So when you create an ad, you can retarget people, you can create custom audiences. You've got a huge number of different ways you can target people. When you're boosting, you might be able to choose their age, their location, and something that they're interested in. It's really limited. You also can't select specific placements. So if you don't want your ad to show on Tinder or, you know, websites, you don't really have that option. Once you hit boost, Facebook's going to put your ad anywhere, and Facebook pays for advertising space on all sorts of websites and apps and everywhere. So your ad will just go out. You know, I've got a couple of clients who are charities, and we don't want their ads showing on, you know, dating websites or anything like that. We don't want to be affiliated with different websites or apps. Whereas when you create a campaign, you can switch all that off. You can say, look, I don't want my ad to show on Instagram, or I don't want it to show on the audience network, which is all these other places that Facebook pays for to put ads. You're obviously limited with your visual layout. So whatever you post turns into an ad. So if you wanted to create an ad that looked more like a story, you couldn't do that through boosting. And as I say, it's easy to use the wrong way. If you post something, it fizzles out, you think, oh, I'll just pay some money, and you're just really flogging a dead horse. So if you are going to boost, what I would suggest is have a look through your analytics and see which of your posts already had a really good response organically. And then you can boost those posts because you know they're already great content. But if you've got a specific goal in mind, like selling products, like booking out a webinar, or selling tickets to an event, or getting people to register for your event, anything like that, I would say just create an ad. Learn how to create an actual ad. The same with Instagram. So you're so limited, you can basically send people to your profile, your website, or your direct messages. You can't encourage people to buy your products. You know, you're just so limited with boosting posts. How do I schedule social media posts? So the easiest way is to use Facebook's own, it's called Creator Studio. So if you Google Facebook Creator Studio, this is a product that Facebook has created, so it works across Facebook and Instagram. You can go in there, you can upload all your content, you can schedule it so that it goes out whenever you want it to. And because you know that Facebook owns this product and it's free, you know that it's going to be good. Another tool I use is Later. So this works for Instagram and Facebook. The thing I love about Later, which Creator Studio doesn't do, is I can upload all of my images and videos beforehand. So I can have them all sitting there ready to go. And when inspiration strikes, I just create my post and all I have to do is write my caption. So if you've had a professional photo shoot done, or you've got a whole lot of product images you've just received, you can upload them all so they're all sitting there ready for you to use, and you can use that on your phone or on your computer. And again, this one is free for 2 platforms. So if you want to do Facebook and Instagram, it's free. LinkedIn is kind of the annoying one. So the last 2 products I've shown you haven't included LinkedIn. But Publer is what I use for LinkedIn, and I can link up my personal profile and my company page, which is really important. So I might schedule out, a post to both and just tweak it for each placement. And again, this one's free. I forget how many platforms you can have on Publer, but it is and it's got a nice calendar view, so you can see all your posts that are all scheduled out for the month. Shall we keep going, Hayley?
Totally. I think everyone's learning a heap.
Cool. What are the rules for running competitions? So Facebook has some really clear rules that almost every business page breaks. So first of all, they say that personal timelines and friend connections can't be used to administer promotions. They say in clear black and white, you can't ask people to share this post to enter or tag your friends to enter. Every business does it. So it seems like Facebook has these rules, but they don't ever police them, which is fine if you want to go and say, run a competition and have people tag to enter. I would just hate it to be the one time when Facebook suddenly decides that they're going to crack down on this, and then your profile, your page is shut down because you are in direct breach of their rules. The other things you must include are a complete release of Facebook by each entrant and acknowledgement that they're not associated. So these are clear black and white rules that Facebook says. If you're running a competition on a business page, these are what you can and can't do. So instead of asking people to tag a friend, I always say, reword it and just say, let us know who you would share this prize with, or let us know who has made you smile today. So in effect, you're still going to get some, people are still going to be tagging, but you're not going against Facebook by, directly saying tag a friend, which they could ping you for and they could shut you down. Other social media managers have told me that they've had pages shut down because of it. Personally, I've never had an experience, so I can't say whether or not it's happened, but I would hate for you to be the first one that it happens to. And Instagram's a lot more chill. All they say is you can't get people to tag themselves in photos to enter, but then they have that same, a complete release of Instagram and to acknowledge that Instagram's not involved in the promotion. So you might recognise that wording because people just copy and paste it and they put it at the bottom of their competition just to stay on the right side of the platforms. I've never really run a competition on LinkedIn. I haven't been able to find any specific policy around running competitions, but yeah, I don't know about that one.
Are the results, like if you're going business to business, are the results on competitions worthwhile, or should they be using other, if it's a retail store and there's a product to give away, I can understand that, but if it's a service related?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I recently worked with a real estate agent and we gave away a trolley full of groceries. And what we said was to enter, click here and sign up to our newsletter. So effectively they got hundreds of leads who they could then, because we got our wording right, they could then go back to them and say, are you interested in a free appraisal on your home? So it generated a heck of a lot of leads for the real estate agency. And we weren't, so even though we posted it on Facebook, we didn't do it on LinkedIn, but we were sending people off the platform to enter because we wanted to build up our database.
Yep.
So that could work in a B2B sense, but yeah, I'm not too sure. As you say, retail products, it's a lot more obvious. And the last question is, which metrics or analytics should I focus on? So when we log into our LinkedIn or Facebook or Instagram, when we look at the analytics and there's tons and tons of data, it can get a little bit overwhelming. But what I like to do is just break it down into really clearly 3 things. Am I reaching people? Are they engaging with me? And if I have a website or an online store or an online booking form or anything that I want people to take an action on, is social media driving traffic there? And those are really just the three things, we can get all hung up on click-through rates and engagement rates and impressions versus reach and followers and all that sort of thing. But if we're not reaching people, they're not engaging, and they're not doing what we want them to do, you're wasting your time on the platforms. So I've got some really quick screenshots here. You know, in your insights in Facebook, straight away we can see right in the middle of that grid there, we've got our post reach, and then below that we've got our post engagement. So we might just note those down, you know, over a period of a few months and just see how that impact is happening. Is it growing? Is our reach growing? Is our engagement growing? And then what we can do is click on the left-hand side, we can click down to posts. And remember when I said about boosting a post? So if I had a look at those posts, I can see that that post I did on the 30th of April, that one there got the most organic reach. So even though I've only got 400 odd followers on my page, you know, I reached over 550 people and I had a huge number, 94 engagements. That's any kind of reaction or comment or click or share on that post. So if I was going to boost a post, I would pick that post. If all I wanted was to, you know, just get some more engagement, get myself out there, I would boost that post over any of the others. It also means that I could have a look at that post and think, what was it about that? I know that it was a picture of my kids, so maybe I want to post some more pictures of my kids because people seem to enjoy that. Yeah, so you can just have a look and think, well, what was it about that post that might have done really well? Was it the time of day that I posted it? Was it the day of the week? You know, try and figure out how you can replicate that post. Instagram, the annoying thing with Instagram is it only gives you insights for the last 7 days. Drives me crazy because I want to see more than that. But again, if you click on insights and then on your activity tab, I can see my reach, how many people I've reached in the last week. And if you scroll down on that activity tab, that tells me how many profile visits and then how many website clicks. So that means that someone's seen my content and that content has pulled them back to my profile. And not only that, it's actually sent them over to my website. And so that's really powerful. That tells me that things are working on Instagram. I would like to see more than one website click. Yeah, but that's just some meaningful data for you. Over on LinkedIn, they seem to have their own terminology. So instead of reach, they use this term called unique impressions. And that tells me how many people saw my content over that period. And you can change the period. Just have a poke around and have a look in the back there. But just know that you won't find the word reach, you'll find unique impressions. But at the end of the day, all I care about, well, one of the main things I care about, is my Google Analytics for my website. Is social media sending traffic to my website? Because that's where people book in. That's where they book my workshops. It's where they buy my online courses. It's where they book in their one-to-one sessions. So if social media, if I'm putting all my effort into showing up consistently and creating great content and engaging on social media and it's not working, we need to talk. We need to figure this out because you're just wasting your time. So for me, obviously being heavily involved in social media, you can see that the blue section there is where the bulk of my traffic is coming from to my website. No surprises, it's social media. So that tells me that I'm doing a good job, that I am, you know, that it's working. So direct is people either clicking on a link that I've sent them in an email or that is on another website. Direct is when they have the actual link to click on. Referral is if it's on another website. So it might be on Hayley's website or someone else's website. So that's counted as a referral. Organic search is when they're just typing in social media training and they're finding me. So I would expect that social media is going to have the biggest chunk of the pie for me there.
And I think the key thing for me from a financial perspective is to actually look at the amount of money that you're spending and not look at the the likes and all that sort of stuff, thinking that the 10 grand I've just spent has given me so many more likes. We actually also need to take a look at this and look at the income, because the whole point of doing this is to grow your business, correct? So we want to make more money and always look at return on investment and when it comes to the advertising dollar as well.
Yeah. So that's that.
So there's bound to be a question because it's 100% participation and everyone actually has something to ask. Go on.
Question on Facebook, stories versus posting.
Yeah.
You use stories. What's the advantage of stories over posting?
So Facebook's trying to drive us to stories. So you might have noticed that they made quite a big update on their app recently. So now when you pick up your phone and you have a look at your app, you'll see all the stories across the top there. So that tells me that Facebook is trying to promote this section. And Mark Zuckerberg actually told us a while ago that he is prioritizing privacy. So for a consumer that maybe is a little bit anti-Facebook and they don't want to post things, if you're posting content that disappears after 24 hours, you might feel a little bit more confident. You might share a little bit more knowing that it's going to disappear after 24 hours. So I think that's where, Facebook is trying to push us into those stories. Now, I personally don't watch a lot of stories. And I always think if I'm not watching the stories, then I know that, others might not be as well. So I don't put a lot of effort into posting to stories. I still find that I get better results from my feed. But what I do is I post my stories to Instagram and I send them across to Facebook. Because it doesn't take me any extra effort. I'm already posting stories over there because they're quite different over on Instagram. There's a lot of people who are not even scrolling their feed. They're just looking at their stories. But on Facebook, I know that they still haven't really taken off quite how Facebook wanted them to. So I wouldn't put too much effort into them just yet. Try them out, maybe have a look at the features that are there. But if you are using Instagram, just connect up your profiles and push your stories across to Facebook. So you never know who's going to see them. I've been tracking my stats and I know that my reach in posts in the feed is about 4 times, maybe even more than I get with my stories. So for me, I'm not putting a lot of energy into them just yet.
So what will be the advantage or should be the advantage of stories?
To who? To the consumer or to you?
Yeah, to the consumer.
To the consumer, people are generally sharing more behind the scenes,
Right.
opening up a little bit more.
Like snippets of your day.
Yeah, because it's disappears, so it's less curated, it's less perfect. We can be a little bit more raw, a little bit more real in our stories. So it's probably a greater connection. But yeah, I just don't think Facebook stories have taken off like they have with Instagram. Yeah.
That's really cool. Any other questions? No. I think you've done incredibly well there. I think for me, the key points of what I've actually got out of today, I've got a very long list. Thank you, Jodine. Social media is like walking into a huge networking event. That is the most powerful message I have ever actually had social media explained by. And that actually makes perfect sense because social media is about actually who we are as individuals and what our business can do. So we don't want to just be, selling all the time. It's about who we are and how we help people. I really like the way that you said inform, educate, and entertain before the selling part. And I think that's really quite powerful. And I always sort of say to people, plan it out so that on a Monday you do an informational post. Friday is always good for an entertaining one, and Wednesday is, the education part. And so it makes it really easy when you go and start designing your social media post plan and stuff like that. I didn't know anything about being able to change my Facebook name, so I'm sort of hoping there's a lot of business owners that are now going to go in and change that Facebook name.
Yeah.
So that's going to be exciting over the next couple of days, seeing all these different changes, I think. And
what I will say is that when you do change your name, it will send a notification to all of your followers. So make sure you've got something nice on your page, because if you're suddenly going to have like a whole lot of people thinking, oh, that's right, I haven't checked them out for a while, and make sure you've got actually some nice fresh content on your page so that when they come back and go, oh, who's this business I'm following? They go, oh, that's right, they're awesome.
that's really cool. And I think too, the whole asking for recommendations, that's actually really powerful. And I know I've done it in the past where I've sent an email out and it's a 4-line link. So I think we'll even have a look at that. But I think the most powerful thing is you can never actually know anything about social media. I mean, accounting and the work that we do, legislation changes constantly, things update, systems change. We're on a constant learning path. And I'd say social media is exactly the same. Just because you do it this way today doesn't mean that you can do it that way in 3 weeks' time.
No.
So if someone wanted to actually learn more and feel more confident, what options do you have available to actually help people?
Well, funny you ask. So coming up, I've got one more fully funded session on setting up your Facebook business page. So that's coming up on the 16th of June. And then I've got another one which is around email marketing. So while it's not social media, it's something I'm really passionate about. So those are both fully funded, so no charge to you. I've just released a new in-person session. So that's coming up in July if you want to learn how to run Facebook ads. So there's 50% funding available for those businesses that are eligible for that one. And then I also offer one-to-one training. So we can do it online. I can come to you if you're in Hawke's Bay. We can sit down together, figure out a plan for your business, and there is funding available for that as well. And everything's on my website. So hopefully it's clear. You can click on the Work With Me page and that should show you everything that's coming up. So all the links are there.
That's awesome. So I think what I will be doing is I am going to send out this recording later on this afternoon. I have provided Jodine, everyone who wanted to be included on her newsletter. She will be adding you to her list, so you'll be seeing her all the time. But otherwise, I look forward to seeing some really awesome posts coming from all of you guys. And thank you so much for giving up your time today to otherwise it's Jodine and I just having a chat. So without you, we're just being silly. So thank you very much. I hope you've got out of it. I can see from the comments that a lot of people have already received a lot of benefit from today. And keep in touch. And if you need help, we're both here to help you.
Oh, awesome.
Thanks.
Brilliant.
Guys.
Catch you later.
Bye-bye.
See ya.